All righty, welcome to the Danvers Rail Trail Advisory Committee. This is our first virtual Zoom meeting, so you'll need to all bear with us. We have a quorum of members that are all here. You can see them, I guess, on the screen. So I need to begin this meeting with an introduction about remote meetings, and please bear with me because it's a relatively long statement. George, I hope I have the 2 pages, so I'm going to step through it. So this is an open meeting. The Rail Trail Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's orders, Executive Order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public meetings, gatherings, and as such, Governor's order suspends the requirement for open meeting law to have all meetings at publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted in the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as there's a reasonable public access is afforded and the public can follow along with the deliberations in the meeting. Ensuring the public will have access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. That will be done via the emails that you find in the agenda. For this meeting, the Rail Trail Committee is convening remotely via Zoom app as posted in the town's website and has identified how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that for some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that some folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast will be captured by the recording. Meeting materials, supporting materials have been provided members of this body and will be shown during this transmission if applicable. The public is encouraged to follow along with the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Business meeting ground rules. We are now turning to the first agenda item. Before I do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct on our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each item on the agenda, and as we go through them, we'll refer to the appropriate member to lead discussion. After they conclude the remarks, I, the chair, will go down the members, inviting each name by name to provide any additional comment. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember this is addressed to the Rail Trail Committee, basically. I'll call your names, I guess. Please remember to mute your microphone on your computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. And I think actually Mark will be managing that through the Zoom app, turning people off and on as they raise their hands. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, we have established an email address for public comment, publiccomments@danversrailtrail.org. This email address is shown online and streaming for this meeting. Residents may email comments that they have. Residents may email comments and they will be provided and read out after they've been received. All emails must contain the date in the subject line. Please include your full name, address, and email. Finally, each vote taken during this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. I think you know what that means. Okay, how did I do, Georgia? All right, good. So I'm going to do a quick screen share to start this meeting. I think, Mark, I'm going to come over here and pick the agenda and we'll share it. This is what we're going to cover today. I just read the order. New business, the opportunity for public comments, which we'll hold for emails. We'll talk about the shed, opportunity to put a shed at Hobart Street. Trail mowing, these dates have changed. We'll need to update these dates. And in current business, we're going to review the area around 3.6. Joe will do that. Review plans for the budget, addressing the Maple Street Church cut through. Mower delivery and training, just kind of quick update from Charlie, I guess. And then update on the extension if there's any updates. And then Larry will give us an update on the fundraising and the finances. We'll improve the minutes from last meeting. So there's the, sorry?
Mark disappeared.
Yeah, but he can only, well, but he can't, we can only see some people see down the side. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. Hopefully you all have this agenda, and we'll begin stepping through it. And I guess the first topic, this is all new to me, so I'm just going to give a quick recap. Hey, there's Sarah. We'll give a quick recap. We had a request for a better place to store some of our equipment. One of the, especially with this new mower, Georgia did a bit of research, and it does look like we have approval from engineering and from Danvers Electric to put a shed at the 32 Hobart Street area. This is basically where the new trail, the proposed trail, will connect to the current trail. That's behind the, kind of in the area around Cherry Street Fish Market. Beyond that, there's no specific work that's been done. I guess my suggestion would be to the group, and we'll see how this works using the Zoom thing, that do you think it's a good idea? And then if so, one of us should probably take and do a little bit more research and proposals about what we would actually put there. Because we need to review it with DPW so they understand, what the recommendations are. So I'm going to pause for a second. And I guess if people have comments on this, chime in. Mark, I'll kind of let you decide how to unmute people. Maybe they raise their hands.
Paul, what you could do is just, I think would be easier, is to just run through the way you see people on your screens and say comment or no comment, and they could say nope, next. That probably would just be easier.
Sorry, that's what we'll do. So I'm just going to do that right on the screen. Nancy, any comments? Mark, Anthony, Joe, Anthony, any comments?
No comments.
Larry, any comments?
No, I don't, nothing at this time.
Charlie, how about you? Any comments?
Yeah, we're being slowly forced out of the lot up there on North Putnam. They have more equipment in, and now we're stuck over against the building behind a mower. But we're going to get stuck in there pretty soon, and we can't mow. So the sooner we can get out of North Putnam, the better off we're going to be. Plus, now this is a new tractor. We want to kind of protect it, get it out of the elements. So that would be what I would say.
So you think it's a good idea, Charlie? I was wondering if we might put your engineering skills to work to give us some suggestions on what we might actually put there.
Well, it depends if you want to build it, if you want to buy it. Sheds aren't difficult to make. Another nice project. So either way.
Let's come back to that. Lori, comments on the idea?
I think it's a dandy idea.
All right. And then Scott and Sarah, any comments on the idea?
No comments.
No comment.
Good
Paul,
idea.
how about you?
Well, I believe we should have a container more secure.
Okay. So why don't we? So what I'd suggest. So, but you're also, but the idea of that location and some kind of a rail trail storage facility, you asked for it, right? So I would assume you're okay with the general idea. I think that's, we'll take that as a yes. Okay. And Matt was here, and Matt has dropped off. Unless you're somehow still here, Matt, we can't see you.
No, he's gone. He fell off. He had trouble joining. Then he fell off.
So what I will mention is, and I think, Sarah, I guess just from catching notes, you can basically capture that everyone who spoke was in favor of it. I will speak for Matt. He did raise concerns about security in that area. And I think if anything that we would do, we would need to make sure that we would address the security, whatever we.
Can I make a comment? Ms. Mark, can I make a comment? What was the size of the shed?
Sorry, you're in the picture. You can make. I didn't start with you.
No, you
started with you.
What's the size?
There's no projected size.
So the town didn't say it has to be.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia, any thoughts?
The only thing, it does have to meet building permit requirements. So Rich Maloney had said when you guys do have a design, of course, bring that in front of him. But getting a survey and a plot plan wouldn't be required. So he's willing to work with us. He said zoning, we're not, we don't have to meet zoning. So we really just, it depends on the location, but permanent foundation, whatever, he seemed open. So as long as we check in with him, there didn't seem to be size issues.
Joe?
Yeah, do we have a list of items that we would potentially store in this shed?
No, I don't. I think we could make one up, but I don't have one.
mean, there's the idea that, you know, sheds can be, well, I don't know, whatever you build there will fill it up, but we need to know what is important to be there.
So I was going to suggest, and I'm looking to Charlie, who's right smack in the middle of my screen. Charlie, would you mind maybe taking at least a first pass? I mean, that's a good question from Joe about what, documenting, well, what would actually go in it. The mower and the trailer would be one thing. And there's other tools, there's some stuff in Lori's garage that we probably could move. Bob's raised a question about security, as has Matt. Is that something that maybe over the next month you could take a look at, and then at the next meeting, we could discuss, or we could discuss a few of us offline? Could you do that?
Sure, I get a laundry list together of everything we have, and maybe perhaps future stuff we've been talking about or will talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd come up with the square footage and an idea. I also have the same concern as Matt and Bob as far as security is concerned. Very easy to kick in a shed window and go through the window.
All right.
So yeah, maybe a container that we can paint some color might not be a bad idea at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Would we need to store any flammable, like, gasoline, things like that in there?
I would suggest not. I wouldn't want to, for one thing, because containers get hot inside. Bob, chime in here if you like. We don't have a gas can. We go to the gas station and fill it. The new tank is 4 gallons, and we could mow probably the trail twice before we have to fill again. There's no need to store gasoline. There will be oil. We'll have a can of oil, but other than that, no gas, no flammables.
Yeah, I don't see the need for a gas can right now with the gas station accessible. We do have the DR trimmer.
All right. Yeah.
That needs to fit in there. And a while ago, we talked about grading equipment as the trail is starting to get narrow in certain places that we may want to purchase. We have the trailer, although that could stand up on end if we need to. So, yeah, it needs to be a decent size. We can put a rack in it to store the hand tools we have. We do have hand tools that the committee owns that was gifted to the committee. Some of that stuff is in my garage, but it would be nice to have it at a central location where anybody can have access to it.
All right. Good point. Lori.
Don't forget the things I have in my garage too. I got rakes and buckets and.
All right. So why don't we do this? I think it sounds like generally that there's people have raised some concerns, but generally the idea of having a place to store our stuff that's central makes sense. And so Charlie, if you don't mind, maybe you and I and Bob's got some thoughts. There's a few of us, and Matt, maybe we can meet separately to work out some of this. It might be good to meet with Rich Maloney, right? That's who it was. Yeah, right at the beginning, to just kind of see if there's any ground rules, things that we need to be aware of before we even start. He may have thoughts that will frame this for us right away.
Just one more question that I have is the physical location, would it be, it's near the Cherry Street Fish Market, but is it on the parking lot side or the other side of the trail? And would it have to be town-owned land, I would imagine, right?
Well, so yes, it is almost directly across from the railway station. It's on the opposite side of the trail. It's almost exactly at the intersection from where the proposed trail would connect with the current trail, which is it's behind the condominiums that are next to the Cherry Street Fish Market.
Okay.
We're going to have to let our butters know that that's coming in.
Yep.
Just out of common courtesy to the condos anyway.
Yep. So there's a lot that we have to do. So Matt just joined. Matt, so we're just wrapping up on the topic of this shed, but I know you'd expressed some concerns earlier. Do you want to just chime in with you some security concerns, and then chime in with us?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just off another video call, so I was having a memory issue. So Yeah, I think just concerned about the security. I know Danvers Electric has monitors on their fencing around the substation, so maybe we want to consider something like that, because that location back there by the train station is kind of a no man's land in terms of nefarious activity. That's all. But it's probably safer just leaving it outside there, sitting in that field, rather than putting it back in the DPW garage. That thing looked like it fell off of a flatbed.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, you need to back up because all we're seeing is your lovely beard. There we go.
There it is.
All right.
All right. So we're going to wrap this one up. Basically, okay, Joe?
Just real quick, we should give thought to what material it should be, or did somebody mention that already? I mean, we don't want anything that's flammable, I would think.
Right. So I think what we need, so we're not going to be able to answer all these questions here tonight. So I think if Charlie's willing to do a little bit of legwork on this, then talk with some of us offline and come back next month or whatever you think's appropriate with some thoughts, that'd be great.
I'll get a full inventory going. I got a spreadsheet built. We talked about that anyway.
Yeah.
And then once I get the spreadsheet, I'll do a layout and then get together some of the folks to talk about what their thoughts are. Then we'll put something ready for next meeting of something to go forward with. Bob is looking.
You know, I lean toward the container because it's movable. Should that location not work out, we could move it. I had talked to Charlie in the past. It'd be pretty simple to put together some solar panels on the roof. So it could be lighted in there. Or even a solar fan. You know, we could install in it at some point.
So Bob, I think why don't we, I mean, those are all good comments. I just think that we could spend all night trying to design it. Why don't we let you and Bob and you and Bob and Charlie do a little more legwork on it and just see if we can come back with everyone's got good ideas and good questions. Just it'll be hard for us to answer them all tonight, especially in this format.
I want to kind of run down the container road, see what I can do on that first. They're all standard width and they're standard height. The only thing that matters for us is depth.
Yeah.
How much equipment we have.
All right. I'm ending this topic, so we move on. I guess that's what I need to do here. The next topic is the trail mowing, which maybe you saw the email. Now, again, I guess for folks that may be listening in, Danvers Electric Division, generally once a year, has to do vegetation management, and they clean the edges of the trail, primarily removing knotweed and in certain cases, things that may be growing higher up into the wires, the power lines. That mowing is now been shifted. It's now planned to start Monday, June 29th and run till probably not all the way through, but till Friday, July 3rd, I think it is. Yeah. Anthony Carabasetti is on the case. He's got a list of things he'll review with the a mowing crew with Mower. And so the question is, are there folks here that would like to do a volunteer guide duty? We all know the drill. You show up early in the morning, spend a few hours telling people how to get around where the work is going. And Nancy and I can do the Monday the 29th. And I was wondering maybe we could just to simplify things, even if people could look at their calendars and say what they might do right now, so we can at least get an outline of a schedule. So thoughts on this? And Mark, I'll start with you.
Yeah, sorry, I got to work week.
For you. All right. Joe, any opportunities?
Oh, you're doing the 29th and it would be morning and afternoon? Or what?
We would probably just do the morning, or like from 7 to 5 dentist appointment of 20 to 4 o'clock. Yeah, we would just do the morning. Yeah.
I could cover the 30th, that's Tuesday.
Joe, 6:30.
I think in the past, didn't we have slots of like 2-hour slots?
Well, we had half-day slots. Yeah.
Wasn't it half day that much?
Yeah, that's what we did. I mean, Matt, you managed it last time. I mean, what we did last time was you basically had a spreadsheet. We had people fill in morning or afternoon. we could do that. I was just thinking that, and it's quick notice. I don't know if people want to sign up now, or I can send our email out. Maybe that's the way to do it. Just let people fill in sometimes.
Yeah, I'll have to find that. That was about 2 or 3 years ago, I think. I'll have to look back in my notes.
Yeah. Well, why don't if you don't, Matt, unless you want to do it, I'll just send an email out with the dates to say people respond and fill it in. That's
I'm trying to think. It was like 7 to 3 was the window, something like that, right?
Right. Yep. 7 to 3, and we kind of had people like 7 to 11, I think it was, something like that, and then 11 to 3. And they probably will finish by Wednesday. They finished by actually Tuesday last week, Wednesday. Yeah.
Just 3 days.
All right.
You might want to send it to the whole list, Paul. I know people like Karen Wagner will sign up for at a time.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
But Diane won't.
Yes.
And maybe Maureen will, I don't know. So I'll send that out. So just take this as a heads up, and if it's it just helps speed the work along. That's the main benefit of doing it. So Mark moved. So Mark, do you control the placement of these things on the screen, or is that just random?
Just random.
Yeah, okay. Curious.
How come Matt keeps jumping around?
I know, man. There's Matt in the middle now.
He moved.
He moves up. Okay. All right. So that's the mowing topic. So the next topic was the plans around 3.6. So again, for people that may be new to this, there's a few spots along the trail in the area around 3.6 where we have some flooding and some erosion. It's Georgia and Joe have done some work on this BC before COVID. So we had some thoughts on what to do. Joe, I don't know if you just want to give just a quick update on this, on kind of what you had started and get any feedback from the group. There's also just looking at the overall rail surface and spots where there were trouble spots on the surface. Do you just want to comment on that?
How about the flooding at 3.6 first? Yeah, we continue to brainstorm an approach that will be sensitive to budget and try to find out, learn as we go, so we can not spend a lot of money needlessly. So we've talked to some landscapers. JC Grounds came out, and Matt, you were there. We met with them. And then we've talked also to Jim Frazier of Frazier Construction out in Center Street, and got some ideas from him. He actually has offered a crew for a half a day to a day to go out and help us out with maybe an interim fix. Paul had a good idea, I think, of while we're trying to figure out how to solve this problem. Meanwhile, we may go through the fall and next winter and have some flooding again. So Paul suggested maybe we could put a 4 foot to 5 foot wide lift path, about 4 inches high, on the one side, will be on the west side of the trail for about 200 feet. And so when the water builds up, and we haven't solved the problem yet, people can walk on this lifted path off to the side. So I think that's a good idea. It would cost some money to buy the material, the stone pack that we would use, and it's probably get that delivered for about $500. We're not asking for the money right now, but we just want to bring up potential costs as we go into this. The idea, while we're going through next winter and trying to figure out a solution, a final solution, people will be able to pass on the trail. I think the problem, tell me if I'm wrong, pretty much exists in the winter when the ground freezes. And in the summer, we really don't have much flooding conditions. Is that true?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's mostly springtime, heavy rains when it's frozen.
So we've gotten some bids. Well, actually, Frazier Construction will help us do that interim path if we want to do it. And when we do that, we also want to create some little clear spots, some test pits on the other side of the trail, which would be on the east side, and see if we get any infiltration of water if we clear the muck and the leaves in these spots, maybe 10-foot diameter spots. along this 200-foot segment that floods. So that would be a test period next winter to see if water would infiltrate. We might learn enough to cut down our costs on the final solution in the following summer. So we're trying to do this interim treatment. Like I said, it would cost $500 for us to do the path and then do the test pits and wait and see what happens. Beyond that, we would be looking at spending a lot more money, potentially, as much as $10, $15, or $20,000 to solve the drainage problem, to get the water out of that area and get it to drain to the north. We maybe 10,000 because we have to do some clearing of the ditch or the east side of the trail where there's trees, there's rocks, boulders. And so in order to do that, we're gonna have to spend some money taking some trees out and creating a swale, a low point ditch on the side to see if we can get the water to drain northward that way. So that would cost some money. But let's get through next winter, this coming winter, and we very much may ask for $500 to put that lifted 4-foot wide path on the west side.
So Joe, let me just summarize because you and I have talked about this over the last few months. Georgia, I think, is still with us. But so the short version, I guess, is that, I guess the question is, would the group be okay if we had Fraser Construction, who would do this for no charge, come in and essentially clear the muck and the sidings out of the east side, basically the lower side, being careful to not encroach on any of the wetlands. And then following that, add some stone pack to the west side just to raise it up a little bit so that it's somewhat passable. I don't know when Fraser's schedule looks like for the summer. They were going to try to do it in May because they had some time. So is the group okay with that concept? Volunteer labor, clean the sidings, add some stone pack in that area. I'm just going to go around the screen again. Larry, any thoughts on that?
I think that sounds like a great idea. I mean, remember that day I saw you on the trail, and whatever was put down there, there was a couple of women running, and one of them tripped over those rocks that really stick right out of the trail.
Yeah.
Are we talking about, putting stone dust over that as well? No? Okay. That's not part of the deal?
No.
All
But
right.
it's gonna be free, you said.
Well, wait a minute. So there's,
The test.
well, the work by Fraser, assuming it's Fraser, they would volunteer. So the removal of the muck would be free, and then we would have to pay for the stone pack, but it would only be in that area. And Larry, that's we can get to another topic, which is general surface repairs. So that's not what we're talking about here. This is really just addressing the flooding right around 3.6.
Right.
Okay, Charlie,
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Lori,
I'm fine.
Scott, and Sarah?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea until, a permanent solution can be finalized.
Okay, and we'll learn it. I think we'll learn too. Matt?
Yep, so the solution that I've always considered is to raise the bed and lower the ditches so you have an elevation change. Right now, the ditches and the surface are pretty much even. So I think that stone pack, that I don't know if that's a good use of money. There needs to be a more substantial base there, like a 3/4 inch gravel base with stone dust on top to raise it up at least half a foot. But when we talk about this roadway, would that interfere with vehicles traversing that area? How would trucks, because there's trucks that go down through that area for the gas line and for other purposes.
Sorry, man, I'm not following. When you talk about the roadway, what do you mean?
No, I'm talking, when you talked about this elevated pathway along one side of the right of way.
Okay, all we're talking about there is, so first of all, I think you're agreeing that cleaning the muck out of the east side, we're gonna need to do almost whatever we do to get kind of lower those trenches. No, the stone pack, if you go down that area now when it's wet, what people do is they walk along in the mud on the west side.
Yep.
Because that's the first side that drains. So that gets drier quicker and it's mucky. So the only thought was if we can do something relatively inexpensive, which is to put down 100 or so feet of stone pack just on the west side of the trail, that at least would allow people to pass. We see what happens when we've cleaned all the muck out and see if that may be enough to help us with the drainage. And that's free work. I don't think there's any harm in having the muck cleared out of there, especially if it's free.
No, I don't have a problem with that. So just back to the walkway, would that interfere with some type of truck traveling through that area?
No, I think we're just talking about, no, it wouldn't, because it's just on the trail. In fact, we're not allowed to according to Georgia. We can't even go off the trail. It would be 2 or 3 feet on the west side of the trail.
Yeah, but it would be elevated though. It would be higher than the east side.
Yeah, by 3 inches.
Yeah, 3 or 4
Yeah,
inches.
so that's, is there a safety concern about having that type of difference in elevation?
I don't see the question.
Let me, so path itself would be about 4 feet wide, but we're gonna take another foot, bring in enough material, another foot of material to widen it to 5 feet, but that 5th foot would be sloped down gradually. And yeah, there would be a little bit of slope there, but it would be gradual enough and it would just, in 2 feet, it would go from 4 inches to 0. So I don't think that's a hazard for a trail like that.
No, I'm just because it seems peculiar to me. So I know that it sounds like a good solution, but I'm just wondering what a casual trail user would think when they saw something like that with this difference in elevation of several inches. It's just, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question. Could I just add something else? Matt, you suggested clearing the east side. That your thought has been to raise the trail a little bit and create a little low point on the east side so the water collects there. That could be the final solution, but that would involve taking out trees, boulders, and enough work that we're going to need a notice of intent to file to do that work.
I don't know about that. All I know is that there was always a lot of debris on that bankment where the tractor trailers are up above. There was always old tires and other debris. Even now, you can see like big chunks of wood. They didn't just fall out of the sky. They come rolling down that hill from up there on above. So there's big blocks and everything. I don't know why the town can't go in there with some kind of skid loader and help us get that stuff out of there. Why we have to hire a business to do it.
Well, but that's what.
I don't know if, I was also concerned, is that all of our property? All of that slope?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, that's the right of way. I don't know. It's probably like 20 feet through there. So
3 rods.
So again, we have been talking about this, if I looked at the notes, for probably 4 years now.
yeah, we got to do something. We tried to elevate it before, and from Northeast Nursery gave us some material, but it had a lot of dirt in it, and that's why when you see it today, it didn't really offer any kind of drainage. It's just.
And I think they didn't put fabric down before they put the stone dust. I think Charlie, you told that, didn't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob?
Well, that section there, they came in with larger stone, up to 4 inch in diameter. It's kind of what Larry's talking about further north on the trail. The dust is washed away, and that stone is sticking up and causing a hazard. But in the section closer to, you can see a slight change in elevation in the trail. From then on, they put in this 4 inch riprap, several trucks, and the stone dust over that. But you're right, they never put any fabric in there. They didn't do it. So I would imagine the stone dust over the years filtered down with the existing dirt and now we just have muck there on the trail, basically, with a little stone dust.
So before, go ahead.
On another note, Matt, years ago, we had briefly discussed of putting a pallet walk exactly where you're talking about putting this berm. We talked about that for the winter. So it's really, Matt, it's not much different than we talked about years ago. But, you know, they're going to use hard pack, it sounds like.
Yeah, and we can use that hard pack in the final solution. We can use that material to resurface the trail once we figure out what to do and we do it. But before we go any further, I wanted to mention something that Matt referred to about the NOI. In Georgia, can you speak to the need for an NOI if we take out trees and boulders and excavate a swale on the east side?
Yeah, so there is, and Matt's mentioned before, historically, there's always been maintenance, I think, down the right of way, and especially the gullies the swales that get filled, and that debris has been removed by hand, which is fine to do without any permit or approval from the commission. But the minute we kind of start moving earth, building earth, pushing it around, removing trees, pulling that, altering, grading, kind of doing some engineered plans, that's when the review needs to come in. And it also gets triggered by the location to that wetland. So depending on how far in on the side of the trails you're going and how close you are to the wetland, the more filing is required.
But basically, George, we have to do whatever we do basically by adding any snowpack needs to be on the existing trail.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're maintaining what is there in the existing footprint, that is okay. And like I had said to Paul, if you were to build up, that is okay, and skirting a little bit to the sides of the right of way. So where the trail is now, where the stone dust is, and probably a couple inches on each shoulder is okay to extend into, because that area is already altered.
Mark, any comments?
No, I'm in favor of accepting the Fraser donation. That's great.
Sorry I have to jump off to get ready for Concom. So goodbye.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, Joe.
Paul, this is Mark. Before you continue, we just had a message come through the Rail Trail mobile app. Somebody asked how they become a volunteer. So I don't know if you just want to point them to the website. That came through the mobile app.
Sure, so that just came in right now?
Yeah, through the mobile app, though, not an email.
Wherever you were, I mean, we can also reply to that, I guess, but yeah, that just come to the Danvers, danversrailtrail.org. There's a form you can fill in. Or we'll just, was there an email address that's on that application that came in?
It's not, but I'll reply to, I'll see if I can reply through the app, but I'm not sure.
So whoever sent that in, thank you, and don't hesitate to send, go to the info, select info at, the contact us page on our website, and we can get back to you. So I'm going to try to wrap this up, because if you remember, it was back in February where Joe came in with a request to spend about $3,000 or $4,000 to do a much more sophisticated kind of review, engineering designs, surveys, and the feedback from the group then was, do we really want to spend that money right now? Can we just do something easy? Can we just kind of clean out the sidings? So Joe's done some work. He's found someone to actually do this for us at no charge. So I want to make sure that the group is comfortable with this. I mean, I suppose I'm going to ask for a vote to spend up to $500 for the stone pack. Don't know if we're going to actually ever get to it, given all the COVID-19 and all the scheduling, all that stuff. But I wanted to ask the group if they're comfortable with, I guess there's two questions. Are you comfortable with the general idea of having a volunteer company clean out the sidings? And all this has been approved by Georgia and ComCom, so we get that. And then the second question will be spending up to $500 on stone pack. So I'm just going to ask, I guess I got to do this by voice vote. So I'm going to go around. Okay with clearing the muck out of the sidings? Joe?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Charlie? Just going around the screen. Okay. Lori?
Yes.
Okay. Scott?
Yes on both.
Okay. Yes on both. Wait, we'll get to both second. Mark?
Approve.
Matt,
Yes.
cool.
I approve.
And Nancy, oh, sorry, I keep looking around and I'm skipping us and Nancy too. I'm so sorry. Oh, man, am I in trouble now? Okay. Second question is, are we okay to spend up to $500 on stone pack? Joe,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Charlie. Yes. Lori,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Matt.
Yeah, but is that enough? How much can you buy for 500 bucks?
20 yards,
We'll come back if we need
20
more.
yards delivered.
All right.
Matt, Mark,
Approve.
and poor old Bob, you're not a formal member of the committee, but I see you smiling, so. Okay, all right. Next topic. So we're reviewing the, oh, you know what? Joe, I'm gonna actually hit one topic, but I don't want to get into much detail, just given the time, which is
Yeah.
Joe has also been doing work to document other places on the trail where we need stone dust repairs, and is going to do some work to get quotes for those repairs, and we'll take that as a separate item. But I think the idea is a good idea that Joe has, which is to kind of like layer it all out, see if we can get one company to say, look at these 6 spots, what would it cost to have that work done? It's for a future meeting. Okay.
Yay, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, so I sent around, this is on the Maple Street Church. So again, for people listening in, there's the Maple Street Church has come to us with a request to see if we can help work with them to avoid people cutting across their property from the trail. We did some work on that earlier in the year, which we reviewed with this committee back in, I guess it was February. I've met with the church. They're comfortable with the plans, which in summary are to put a split rail fence in and put some grass seed and loam down, and then put up a couple of signs to guide people to the crosswalk. That's the kind of the basically what the proposal is. The church does not want to do any landscaping. They're not interested in the maintenance. Joe had DigSafe come and check out the area to see if we could in fact put some posts in for fences. It looks like we're okay. So the request then for the group, and I did circulate the, in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put this up. I'm going to do a screen share of this jobby here, share. Hopefully you can see this. So this is what we had as the budget. And basically this is the split rail fence, the loam, the stone dust, grass seed, some signs. I don't know if we'll need the feet. That may be overkill. But this is $1,061. The church will put in $200. So this would be to ask the committee to fund up to $800 to make these repairs, to straighten out that area, as well as address the address the concerns that came up from the church. So I'm going to do the same thing, I guess. I'm going to go right around my screen here. Joe, comments?
Yeah, you assume 50 foot of split rail fence
Say that again.
on that estimate that you just posted on the screen. It was 50 foot of split rail fence that you assumed.
Yeah. And we measured 53 feet, so I just used 50.
Because I couldn't remember, is that what we
53.
concluded, 50 feet instead of 70?
Yeah, because 70 would take us all the way down to the next tree. So we said we'd start this by going to the first tree.
Right, okay.
Nancy?
Oh, and I have another question, and that was to do the tree, the infamous tree that's right in the alignment of the fence. Did we hear anything from the town about, or the electric company or somebody would take it out for us?
Sarah, maybe we catch that, Sarah, in the notes, which is Georgia was going to look into this tree that's right smack in the middle of the trail. The church has asked about removing it. It is a bit of an obstruction. It does actually grow up into the wires there. It's not something the Rail Trail Committee would want to take on, but it might be something that Danvers Electric would want to look at removing.
It also is growing into the gas line.
It's growing in, well, that's the other tree that, it's growing in the gas line.
Well, that tree that we're talking about is right on top of the gas line.
Right, but that's not, so that tree is not our issue. just so we know. It's a request from the church to the, this is the tree you're talking about. It's right smack in the middle of the trail, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a request from the church, which we're happy to try to advocate for. And that's a question is now to the Danvers Electric to say, you guys want to take a tree down? That's, I don't, at this point, and George is going to look into it with them. Okay. Nancy, comments on the plan?
It's fine with me.
Larry?
Yeah, I think it seems reasonable.
Okay, Charlie? That was, I guess that was a yes. Okay. Lori?
I'm good with it.
All right, Scott?
Sounds good.
Matt?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the placement of the posts. Is that on the church property or is it in the right of way?
So that we could figure out what we exactly want to do. I think the trees, and Joe, correct me, the trees are on church property and they would be on the trail side of the trees. So they would be either right on the line or on the right of way.
So does it impact the width of the trail at that location?
No. It's probably about 5 feet off the trail.
Because it's the gas stations actually, though they're in the right of way.
Right.
I don't know how they did that, but
Right.
it works. So it's a choke point there, and I just didn't want to make it worse than what it was.
So that's a good, so we just capture that comment is we want to make sure that we don't, in fact, if anything, maybe we can widen the trail. But part of this is to refresh the stone dust. That might be a good way to make it clear the trail's wider.
So it's not a straight fence, right? It looks like it's crescent shaped in terms of how that yellow tape is.
A little bit crescent.
So what's to prevent the people from getting, as they're going north, to go closer to the edge of the church and go on the east side of the fence and bypass and then make the grass even more dead there?
Yeah, I guess, Joe?
Is it just to
I mean,
guide them?
That's a question. That's a very good question. That's where we were talking maybe at one point in our conversation about making the fence longer, 70 feet, to make it more unnatural to cut across the church property. But we thought that we would try the 50 feet first. That's what I was asking about before, and see what happens with the trail users, and see if they stay on the trail or they start cutting across the church property. And then if they're cutting across the property, then we come back and add 20 more feet, right?
That's right. That was the thought. And I think we're also trying to address, and Lori's with a couple of these meetings, this is what the church asked for. And so this is a kind of a balancing act with, they're the ones who've requested our help in minimizing this. And so they were comfortable with the kind of 50-foot placement.
All right. And how high are the rails? Can you just kind of hop over them, or?
If you run hurdles for the track team, maybe I wouldn't want to be hopping over. But
Matt, I'm sure you could do it, Matt.
No, I'm just, yeah, it's better than nothing, I think.
Right.
At least it'll give some guidance to people that, hey, stay on the west side of the fence until you get to the sidewalk.
Exactly.
Remember, we also were gonna flare that last section a little bit and kind of guide them down.
Yep.
Remember that, Joe? We're gonna push it out about 3/4.
Yes.
Yep.
Guide them down.
Yep. Exactly.
All right,
Okay.
I'm all set.
Mark.
I think it looks great.
All right. Bob, want to chime in?
You're on mute, Bob.
He's on mute. He looks like he's falling asleep.
It looks like he's having a good time though.
All right, we'll think Bob's cool. All right, so now I want to basically ask for approval to spend up to $800 to do the repairs that I outlined on that spreadsheet. So, Matt, I'm sorry, I'm going to start in the upper left again. Joe.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
I'm okay with it too. Larry.
Aye.
Charlie.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Matt.
Sure.
Breath. All right, we're going to have to hold our breath with Matt. Okay, and then
If we get a sponsor for the fence. This fence sponsored by Joe's Fence Company.
Yeah. Mark.
Approve.
Okay. Bob's not muted, but we'll assume he's still doing it.
I unmuted everybody.
Okay.
Still smiling.
Yeah, I'm here. As you can see, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm holding an iPad. My arms are getting tired. But,
All right.
yeah, it's, we need to do something there.
All right, thank you all. So that motion
Just a
passes.
thought. A vote. I don't have a vote. Just a thought.
Who is the, who are the?
Bob,
Bob, sorry, Bob.
just a thought.
Oh, okay. So Charlie, you just want to give us an update on the mower delivery. Thank you for, you took delivery, Matt was there and you used it. So how's that going?
It's going well. We tried it for the first time out there. Whole different machine. It's 48 inches wide, not 42. So it actually cuts down our mowing time a little bit. Got all the nice bells and whistles. Power steering, cup holder, doesn't get air conditioning. Cruise control. It's a nice little machine. It's more durable than the other one.
Got Bluetooth?
No. You saw what the other one looked like when they pulled it out of the barn. Matt was there. The whole right side of it was stoved in. The whole hood was broken. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But this is a good machine.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a couple of extra keys. I have the only key only because as we train, then we'll get people out there. We have to change our format a little bit because of all the people on the trail. We used to, in the old days, stop, turn off the blades and let them go by. I did that the other day for like the first 200 feet because I shut the blades off about 7 times because we have so many people on the trail. So what we might end up doing is go back to half throttle and be still, go back to half throttle and just let the blades turn and spot in position.
Okay.
And then start. It just saves a lot of wear and tear on the belt.
Yeah.
So we'll go through the training part of it. But it's a good machine. It's a good purchase. It's going to be great for the trail. I will suggest that whoever mows next will not mow until after the next rain. It is a dust bowl out there.
Well, also after they clear the knotweeds. We hopefully,
I think I breathed in 1.5 pounds of stone dust. By the
you
time.
weren't wearing your mask.
For a while I was, but
So one thing I should just mention, because again, I'm concerned we have people maybe watching from home, for those of you at home. What we're talking about is that the Rail Trail volunteers, the Rail Trail Committee through donations purchased a small John Deere mower. Charlie was just in delivery last week, and we used that mower to kind of neaten up the edges of the trail about 2 to 4 feet out. Keeps the grass from encroaching on the trail. So that's what this is about. So thank you again, Charlie, for doing that.
when anybody wants to be trained and walk through how to run it, and Bob, we'll be in touch.
Yeah. You mentioned getting together over some milk.
Milk?
Milk?
Why milk?
Maybe I misread the email.
I was thinking it sounded a little bit stronger.
Yeah. Okay. There's no one here from the town on this right now, but normally we would get an update on the extension project, but we'll cover that at an upcoming meeting. And again, this is for folks, the town has been taking the lead on a proposed extension from basically the Hobart Street area, the current trail of Hobart Street out to the Middleton line. And this work that's been underway on that the town has been taking the lead on. I know it's probably not quite in, I want to bring up one other topic if I'm allowed to, which Mark's going to smile when I bring it up, which is the potties. Which is, I've been getting some emails now from people wanting to know when are we going to put in, or are we going to put in the porta potties? I've discussed it with Georgia. I don't know if how many of you, I'm just bringing this up because I think we should all be on the same page. There are some fairly strict regulations in the Massachusetts parks and restrooms and parks as far as cleaning, hand sanitizer, that type of thing, that we would need to take into account for using these type of facilities. I think it may be a little more work than we want to bite off. But Georgia was going to check with the town to get a feeling from them about whether or not they would want to help either co-fund or manage a couple of potties, or at least one potty in the downtown area. So I don't know if people, there's been questions that have come in. If people have any strong feelings one way or the other about whether we fund one of these or not this year. I'll just, I'm going to go around the horn again. So Joe, any questions or comments?
I would like to see one out there, but I was wondering if one of our vendors the one we use or some other ones might have some special COVID procedures that they're now doing. You know, it would be a good advert or a good PR for them to
It's good going.
sell their services.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll look into that. Maybe that may help. Yeah, it's a good point. Nancy?
I said I thought we should have one, especially now that businesses don't let people use their restrooms. But I understand your feeling about the maintenance and, yeah, if the vendors could come up with something for us, that would be great.
Larry, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, well, United Site Services, which is the company that we get our laboratories from, they've got them all. They must have policies and procedures that I can check with them to see, you know, what they recommend. But would we have to have them cleaned after each person uses them? I mean, some of the regulations are so ridiculous.
I can send you the 10 pages of regulation from the state of Massachusetts about what you're supposed to do, and it really is about 10 pages. Well, it's not really that bad. It's probably 4 pages.
Right.
They are supposed to be cleaned at least daily. There needs to be hand sanitizer and all. There's some regulations. Georgia was going to see what the town thought, because if they're going to open up businesses for outdoor dining,
Yeah.
there may be some interest in the town in having a facility somewhere in town. So she was going to check for that as well. But Larry, if you could check with United to see what they're saying right now about like COVID-19 ready.
Yeah, what are other towns doing?
Yeah.
Maybe it could be more of a cost sharing thing with the town instead
Exactly.
of us footing the entire bill. Say, hey, you know, we'll be willing to contribute X amount of dollars towards it, and then the town pick up the slack.
Okay. And again, for people listening in, the Rail Trail Committee in the past did some 2 parties for the season. We pay for them, and we do some general light cleanup, checking on them on a kind of 2 or 3 times a week basis. That's in the past. We're not doing it now. There's no parties. Charlie, any thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of would hold off until phase 3. The restrictions lighten up a little bit there. We're only about 2 weeks away from phase 3.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay.
Take 2 weeks to
Good
check
point.
the
Yeah.
brakes.
Lori?
I agree with Charlie. I think that holding off until we see where things are going, and meanwhile, if Larry gets information from the company, then we might have a firmer foot to stand on.
Okay. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I think these companies, you know, just to stay in business, they're becoming experts in, you know, what they need to do to be able to supply their product. So
Yep.
I think it's worth checking into anyway.
So Bob looks like he's ready to burst here. So I'm going
Yeah,
around the horn, Bob. You just end up at the last cube. So go ahead.
Now, Paul, Nancy, and myself, you know, we do the primary maintenance other than the cleaning once a week.
Right.
Are we willing to take on more?
Me?
I don't think so. Here. You know, I think Charlie's right. We should kind of back off. I mean, they're great to have. You know, people tell us that they're really clean, they're efficient. You know, but it's a big task to keep those clean. The baskets, you know, Paul, you're continually emptying the one down by you.
I know.
And the one up by me, I continually empty that and sweep the place out.
Yep.
And, you know, long weekends, they run out of paper, we resupply that. I don't know if we want to tackle the additional things we got to do in there.
Yeah. I'm Bob. I'm kind of with you, but I think there's been some good suggestions of things to look into. So I'm going to go to Matt now. Any thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think we're just going to wait and see. Yeah. I know the town just opened up the parks this week, so I don't know how they're handling that. Like at Endicott Park, did they open up the bathrooms in Endicott Park? Or is it just the playgrounds or just the park? So we should take the lead from the health department. And there's no sense jumping the gun. I think people understand if they don't see them there, they know why.
I agree. All right, Mark?
I would like to see one at Putnamville Park, but at the very least, but we'll just wait and see.
Can you clean them?
If it's doable. I think we need to wait on that company. How's that?
All right, well,
If we're only paying for one, maybe they could clean it every day.
let's see if what Larry finds out from the companies and what Georgia finds out from the town. We'll go from there. So thank you all for humoring me, but I brought it up only because I've got a few questions from the website about this topic. Larry, for the next topic, an update on Friends of the Danvers Rail Trail. And again, for folks that are listening in, we have a 501c3, which you're more than willing and ready to make a donation to, the Friends of the Danvers Rail Trail, which is set up to fund the activities for the rail trail. Larry, any updates?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're still got a healthy balance in our account. I mean, you know, for much of the year, there wasn't really much money coming in or going out, very little. So we were at approximately, a month ago, we were at approximately 35,324 in the account. But we purchased that great new tractor, and that was $5,200. And then we did get a new mile marker sponsor and an additional $100 donation from someone, and so now we're at about 30,282 even after purchasing.
And that excludes the extension.
I'm just talking our general account.
Okay.
The extension money is still pretty much holding in a CD right now, in a separate account.
Right. And again,
about $20,526, and we have a little over $2,000 in the Swamp Walk funds, which we now, you know, manage the bank account for that too. But those are three separate accounts.
All right.
Maintained. We just did a mailing of people that hadn't renewed their sponsorship yet. So Paul did it, you know, targeted down to the ones that hadn't renewed yet. I sent out the mailing to approximately 20 people this past week. The mailing went out on Monday. Haven't seen any donations hit the PO box yet. But you know, one big one is North Shore Bank. They haven't renewed the Beverly Bank one yet because they just haven't gotten around. I know they're going to renew that, and that's separate from the mailing as well. So we're actually in good shape money-wise. I mean, if we need to spend money on things like stone dust, as we talked about, but maybe that's a year down the line. You know, we have money to put towards the trail. We've done a good job raising funds, and we haven't spent any money on porta potties this year either. So, you know, and that was about, you know, $700 or $800 a month.
Right.
That we were spending on that. So, you know, if we do go back to the porta potties in 2 locations, we'll have that expense coming back. But other than that, I think we're in good shape.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Any questions? Just, you know, people just chime in if there's any questions. I don't need to go around. If there's any questions for Larry on the funds.
I have a loan.
No.
Oh. What I'd ask.
Thank you, Larry. The next thing is the approval of the minutes. Everyone had a chance to look at the minutes. Can you believe our last meeting was February 20th? That's how long ago we met. I looked at those minutes and it was like, it seemed like forever ago. So at first, any comments on the minutes? If not, then we'll move to a vote to approve. I'm just going to look for people to chime in if there's particular comments on the minutes. I don't see anything. So we need to approve. So I'll start from the backwards this time. Mark, are you okay approving the minutes?
I approve.
Matt?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And Paul? Yes. Cool. The minutes are approved. Thank you for that. And then the next item, the last item right now is our next meeting would normally be July 16th.
Oh, can I bring up one thing?
Oh, please. Yep.
From the comments from the public and I was on the trail this morning and a truck was coming down the trail, a pickup truck. So I chased it and caught it. It was actually an electrical worker.
Oh, yeah.
Because of COVID, no two electrical workers can drive in the same vehicle. So they're using their personal vehicle. So he was out there checking switch gears and stuff along the way.
I saw him this morning.
If I could suggest, yeah, great pickup.
Yeah.
What I would suggest, can you get a hold of electric and him put a sign in their window that they're electric company so that we don't have to challenge every truck we see out there?
That's a good idea. Well, it's funny. I commented this morning. I was out there this morning. It seemed like everywhere I went, there was a Danvers electric truck. And I'm like, why are all these trucks out there? And it's to change a pole or something. But yeah, that now I understand that they can't be interesting. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'll do that. Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'm just going to look at the next meeting date would be Thursday, July 16th. That work for folks?
That works.
All right. We will.
Is it going to be a remote meeting, or are we going to try to get together?
Well, I think if we're allowed to get together, I would love to. I think we need to have meeting sizes of like at least greater than 10 because we need to let the public in. So that's the thing would need to consider. So if you're okay, I would just suggest that we decide that a week or so before the meeting. I don't know what else we can do at this point.
Yeah, I'm just having a problem with like this Concom meeting that's on right now. They're having public hearings, but the public can't really interact with what's going on. So,
Right.
you know, we're having a town meeting on Monday, and yet there's inconsistency between committees and boards about how they're operating.
Yeah. So let me find out what the. I think certainly I would, if we can meet in person, I would prefer that, but we'll need to see what the town's guidelines are for that. So.
Yeah.
Can
Need to
we
force
meet
the issue.
outside?
Say,
Can we
Charlie?
meet outside? Can we meet outside?
Yeah, we still have the same challenge of if it's only 10 people that are allowed in a meeting, then we would run the risk that we would just have 2 or 3 people show up from the public, and then I don't know what we would do.
That number goes up in phase 3. So.
Does it? Well, there you go. So that might help out. Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Well, listen.
Paul, while we were on the meeting, 2 people just emailed us about helping out, want to be volunteers on the rail trail. I think having this meeting on DCAT tonight might have a lot more participation in these people watching this.
Yeah,
They could probably tell us the stats. They'll be able to tell us how many people actually watch this.
Yeah.
But we had 2 people just email looking to volunteer. So.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got a couple of emails. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So
can I chime in for a second?
Sure.
Yes, for all those people out there watching, I'm not a committee member. I'm a longtime volunteer. I retired. I needed something to do, and certainly the Rail Trail Committee provided that. So we're always looking for younger people, as you can see. There are a lot of Rip Van Winkles showing up.
Speak for yourself.
You know,
I was gonna say that.
some
Speak for
people
yourself.
dye their beards. So, anyways, please get in contact with them. Join us. They're a friendly group. You probably saw that tonight. Very social, very rewarding. Something for everybody.
There you go.
And we have fun.
And we have fun. Certainly when we can meet in person. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Porta potties.
All right. So I guess I'm going to close the meeting. I guess I don't do anything other than say thank you, everyone, for attending. Send in your public comments using the public comments email. And thank you all to the Rail Trail Committee for joining us. And Mark, I guess we can close the meeting.
All right.